Hey everybody, Alvinator here from Mulligans and Hackers, and today on the podcast we've got Adam from Grip Garage out of Calgary, just down the road. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. It's a good week up here in Calgary. Weather's fantastic here now in Alberta, and everybody's itching to get back out to the golf course.
I just did some simulator time on Monday, and it's only my
Very good.
second simulator session of the year, actually since we stopped golfing, because I had some elbow issues that I had to get worked on, and so there was some physiotherapy that had to happen for a few weeks, and now my physiotherapist says, "Yeah, you can do it. Just
Yeah.
take it easy." Because last year in our short 6 month golf season that we have, I golfed 101 rounds. So
Whew,
she,
101.
yeah,
Man.
that's and we're talking like every day at the golf course, 36 on the weekends. Um, and she said, "You know what? The pros don't put that much pressure on their bodies, dude. And you're not a spring chicken, and you
Yeah.
carry and you might want to tone that back a little bit because
The old
your
the old
body,
knuckles down
yeah,
stretch.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, you
yeah,
got
yeah,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
I I know that. I get that, I get that in my right elbow, and you can see behind me here I
I
got
I
my
actually
simulator behind me.
I
Yeah.
actually changed my grip, so I went from more there to definitely more over the top, where I could see the V,
Yes.
and that's when my problems kind of started with the whole elbow issues. But I played through it all last year, so it was a few months that it was uncomfortable to play, but I was not stopping playing at that point. But
It's there's nothing worse than that when
playing
injuries
golf
kind of prevent you.
uncomfortable,
Yeah, it is. Like I had it too, even with my thumb. I mean, we're sound like not, we're not that old, Alvin. I mean, but we're making ourselves sound old because now we're talking about sports injuries. I can start talking about my hips from
yeah,
hockey if you
yeah,
want me
dude.
to,
I was a
but
goalie, so yeah, I got the
yeah, same thing.
knees are
Yeah.
pretty shot. So,
Yeah, I am a
but
goalie as well. So look at that. Yeah,
holy
no, it
smokes.
is. Yeah, I know. I have all kinds of stuff in common. Yeah, I was a goalie, and yeah, the hips are not as limber as they used to be.
So I don't know how old you are, but I remember that when I was playing goalie, I actually still wore the Pelly Lindbergh, Bernie Perrant style mask when I started. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know how old you were when you
No,
started. So
no, I was I mean, was talking about this the other day in the dressing room. I actually I still remember being taught how to make a skate save. Like when you would
okay,
turn your
turn
leg
your
out,
yeah yeah yeah
you
yeah
could
yeah
skate.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm 38. I said this earlier. I can't remember if I'm 37 or 38. I never know. I was born in 85. But anyway, but yeah, like I remember being taught how to do that. My first set of pads when I was a novice were like these brown plush pads, like brown, right?
Hmm.
Like color was just coming in at that time. So
I remember the first time I got a Cooper glove, and it was one of those the gray and black one, the a la Glenn Healy first when he came play with the Islanders,
yeah.
the Cooper Durasoft black, and I was like, "Hey, there's color on this glove. This is fantastic. I've
Yeah.
reached a big time now because I've got one piece of my equipment is colored." Yeah, I remember those times. But
Yeah.
so,
Oh man, great
yeah,
stuff.
we could talk about that now forever. But so Grip Garage.
Yes,
So you're a gear geek. Is that fair term?
I am.
So how does
I'm
one
a self
how does a
yeah.
guy, so do you have like a long background in golf to where you get to a certain point where you're playing the sport and then you say, okay, well, I'm going to start working on my stuff. Where does your
Yeah.
story in that begin?
You know what? It actually starts from my very first driver fitting, when the original launch monitors first came on scene. So that would have been back in like 2005, when it was the AccuSport Vector launch monitor. I'm sure some people and some of your listeners will remember that. It was a little gray box. You had to paint or draw a line on the ball, and that's how it would read it. And I went to a local golf shop and got fitted for a driver. And I like by getting fitted for the driver, I had gained like 30 yards. And it was just this epiphany moment where I was like, man, this is crazy how technology can help improve your golf game. So that's where it all started. It all originated kind of in 2005 and driving home from St. FX with my dad at year's end after my first year of university. Um, and about that fitting, I was like, man, we need to offer this back home. Like people need to see this. And this is where this idea grew. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs in my family, and my dad was on board. I had some uncles that helped support me to help fly me down to a Mitchell Golf School for a performance fitting specialist to learn all about launch monitors, how to use them, how to fit people, and got funded to do that. And I started to offer this at my golf club. My golf club gave me some space in their cart shed that was big enough and a net, and really start to help the club in sales. I kind of got the fitting money at the time. I was just kind of young and enjoyed that. And from that grew into the whole other realm of repair and regripping and doing everything else that's kind of in there. So I've been into golf tech since definitely since 2005. I'm a Tiger boomer in the golf world. That kind of 1999 2000 kind of thing. When it was at that time when you were a junior, you couldn't become a member at a course because memberships were just insane. But golf equipment is fantastic. It's ever evolving. We can talk so much. Like I always have a very good pulse on it. Social media is a great platform for learning lots of stuff. But I could spend hours every day just reading about all the new golf tech and stuff that's coming out there. But I love doing it. I love fitting people, back in the day. And then from there, I went on to manage the driving range at my golf course in Seaview in Cape Breton Island. And from there, I did all the repairs and everything. So kind of an opportunistic, right? Seeing a hole in the market and try to fill it. And that's where Grip Garage kind of happened back in 2019. My son, my first child was born in 2019, and I was kind of looking for something. I knew my practice wasn't going to be as much. So I started with the simulator in the garage, and I was like, hey, I can do this stuff. And golf grips was kind of the area I focused on because I felt like it's one of the most neglected areas of clubs. I think it's gotten to a point now where it's so full. Like there's so many options of grips that people are like they go in and like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at a wall full of grips. What's the difference between this one and that one? And I kind of saw where it's something that a lot of people neglect. The big box stores, even golf courses, it's viewed regripping golf clubs as the grunt work of club repair. Like it's not the glamorous of building clubs and all that other stuff, but it still serves a purpose. And I wanted to offer the consumers in Calgary an avenue to have their clubs regripped and repaired in a timely fashion, with someone that cares equally, if not more, than they do about their equipment.
Yeah, cool. Um,
Yeah.
so golf grips. I
Yes.
mean, that technology, and again, I understand exactly what you're saying because a golf club is important to play the sport, but the grip is actually where you make physical, tactile contact with the club.
Yes.
It's got to feel good. It's got to feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Um, so how does one go through the process? Let's just focus on the grips here for a second.
Yes.
How does
Yep.
one go about finding the right grip for their hand size, or does a swing come into play when you're picking a grip?
Well, the area I always start with first is hand size, and you can see this, any place that has regripping services, they're going to have that chart. Golf Pride is very good for having that chart. You can go to Golf Pride and go through the fitting process on their website. And when you're on there, hand size is one of the very first things they look at. But one thing I noticed though is that when people come and see me, hand sizes, what we need to realize it's only one aspect and it's not the be all end all and everything because comfort is the other thing. And you want to make sure that you have that. One thing that I noticed getting into this is I sell more mid-size grips than I ever do standard.
Really?
People, yeah, it's 100% like mid-size grips are my biggest sellers. Golf Pride CB2 wrap is probably one of the most important or one of the biggest sellers, best sellers I have. The MCC plus four mid-size, same thing. Those two grips are, I always have difficulty keeping them in stock, but mid-size grips tend to appeal to people because there's more surface area for you to hold on to, right? You have um, more traction, all of that stuff. It's a little bit bigger. You don't feel like you have to squeeze it as tight. So that is one thing that I've noticed. For anyone out there, any female listeners or anyone, wife or girlfriend, daughters that play, ladies grips or undersized grips, as they probably should be termed. I actually don't sell many of those to women. Most women either go standard or mid-size, and I will do that. So even though their hand size would fit into standard, they'll come in and say, you know what, I have some tendonitis in my elbow, my hands, arthritis, all of those things kind of come into play where larger size grips are going to help with that, where they feel like they are connected to the club more. We obviously there's an impact here for those of you that kind of well versed. Obviously, if you put a heavier grip on, you're going to alter the swing weight of the club. But the most important thing is that you're comfortable. And when you hold on to that club with that grip, you're going to feel confident to make a good swing where you don't feel like you kind of have that death grip on there. So that's kind of one thing with that. And then in terms of performance wise, you basically, you can break them down basically into two categories, which is soft grips and firm grips. And for yourself, Alvin, or anyone, you start looking at what are the pros and cons of each of those. And anyone that's watching TV tour, LPGA tour, those they're using predominantly Tour Velvets, Z Grip, MCC. That's like those are the ones that predominantly they're using. Those are firmer grips. They provide more feedback. So because you're getting more feedback, you're aware of where that golf ball's hitting on the club head a little bit more. You're going to get more reverberation. Not fantastic for golfing up here in Canada in the shoulder seasons and the cold weather. I saw that St. Andre reel that just came out the other day of the cold weather thin shot, and it does
Mm-hmm.
like it hurts. So those grips are not fantastic for cold weather, but they are going to give you that feedback that you're looking for. Hence why those tour better players are predominantly looking for that. The softer style grip is going to give you more vibration dampening. It's going to be more comfortable in your hand. And that's kind of one of those things that people look for. And that's why, again, like I said, that CP2 wrap is a really common one. Lampkin, Sonar Plus, whether it's the wrap or just the regular ones, those are really solid grips. Yes, they're a little bit on the softer side, but you're not losing very much control. It's not like the torque on those softer grips is so astronomical that it's really going to alter. If they feel more comfortable in your hands, that's the most important thing when you're out there looking for a grip.
So when you're putting a bag together, say as an amateur golfer, as a weekend warrior, or as a pro, um, are your grips in your bag uniform from wedges to driver? Do people usually just stick with a stock, the same grip on every one of those clubs?
Yeah, it's funny. You're hitting that, and that is such a common question, and I've often thought about putting a frequently asked questions on my website, and that is one of them. Predominantly, yes, you're using the same all the way through. I do get some people that will put a larger grip on a driver. They might put a mid-size on a driver just because of the way you swing it, where they want to swing a little bit faster. They feel like it's just a little bit more connected. They all have their reasons for that. Um, but that's typically it's uniform. But if I'm going to see anybody stray from that, it's going to be in the driver. Wedges for myself, and then no, this is flipping into something different, which is, when should you replace your golf clubs? How often should you do it? Right? I'm sure
Well,
you're probably giving me questions.
yeah,
So
yeah, I
yeah,
got it. Was again, it's the same thing. Like, when are we
yeah,
replacing grips on golf clubs? Like, when is the what is the life cycle of a set of grips? So, I played 100 rounds last year, 101, 103,
yeah,
with the same grips,
yes,
right? And
yeah.
when I take my clubs out now, the grips still feel okay, but is it because I'm so new to the game I don't feel that the life cycle's gone, or there's still life cycle there?
I would say part of it is because you haven't picked up a club with a new grip on it, so you don't realize what the
Right,
difference is right
right.
now. But what I tell people is you should replace your driver and your wedges every season. Like if you're playing 30 plus rounds, driver wedges every season shouldn't even be a question. We use those the most. They're going to wear the fastest. If you're playing kind of that 30 to 50 round range, you can probably get 2 seasons out of your irons, no problem. Now, for yourself, where you're upwards of 100 rounds, you're probably an every season type person where you should be replacing your grips going into this season with a brand new set of grips ready to go. So that way it's there. And then possibly kind of like end of June, you should be looking at your driver and wedges to get them replaced. That's what I will do. Like, because I play sim golf in the winter, I still have my same grip on my driver and my wedges, but right at the start of the season, I'll change those. And then halfway through the season, I change them again because tension is a killer. Golf, like there's studies out on it now. Golf Lab is one of the ones that does a lot on grip pressure. And if you don't have a proper grip that's, has that traction that you need, then it's gonna impact your outcome of your shot because you're just more tense. You don't feel like that you can just grip that club very easily and softly to execute your shot because again, tension is killer. Golf Pride kind of did their little study too, where they said it's, new grip to old grip. It can be like a difference of 2 yards, right? And in a game of distance, and then in wedges where distance control is so important, 2 yards sometimes can mean the difference between in the water or getting over,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So yeah, it is. It is important, and you know, it's one of those things where then you start looking, of course, the cost side of things, which is a big thing now in golf grips. Um, you're looking easily at your name brand grips. You're looking at a minimum of $15 per club, and that could even maybe be on the low end. Many of the Golf Pride MCC Z grips, you're looking at $20 per club for it, and it's absurd.
Well,
I
nothing's getting
saw I
cheaper.
No, nothing's getting cheaper, but I saw it skyrocket. Because I started this business like pre-COVID there, and then I saw the cost of grips go up $1 in a year, right? And like within the year, grips went up $1. And so that just again gets handed back on to the consumer. So it is one of those things. I think in the golf industry, we've seen a lot of success of direct to consumer companies, right? With golf equipment and all that other stuff. There are some direct to consumer golf grips out there that I think will eventually start to maybe make their way into mainstream because they're going to be able to offer very similar, equally style grips for a fraction of the cost. And so that's something that I could see. Again, there's a market in there. If somebody's a savvy business person, that's it's a market in there.
For
If
sure.
that's something, yeah, like it's something I've dabbled in, I've thought about. I've throughout me starting Grip Garage, I thought about starting my own wedge line because again, wedges are expensive. I did a couple of other things, but grips was something I think if I kind of had it back from start to finish, I probably would have looked to have entered that market. It is tough though, because like a lot of things, people love their brands, right? And some people are very brand agnostic and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I'm TaylorMade, that's it, and I'm only playing TaylorMade or Callaway. Same thing too with grips, right? Many people, I mean, the amount of people that come in and say, they'll be like, "Hey, Lampkin, what's Lampkin?" And I'm like, Lampkin has been around longer than Golf Pride,
So that's
but
that.
but it's
Yeah.
big, yeah,
So my
right. It's
bag
just a marketing.
from wedges to driver are Lambkin regulars, and it just so happens that
Yes,
I run the Kirkland wedges. They came with Lambkin regulars on
yeah,
it. I bought a stock set
yeah,
of off the shelf Wilson D7s, Lambkin regulars, and then I went and took my TaylorMade R9 driver, 3 wood, and my hybrid to go and get Lambkin regulars put on them, so that the whole
yes,
set was uniform Lambkin regulars. And
yes.
I've tried the Win DryTac 2.0.
Yeah.
A really comfy grip, but I don't know. You tell me, because you're the expert here in this conversation. Durability on those, like I've
Not fantastic.
right.
No. Like so, but the only thing I ever say with that is because I do like I do sell a fair amount of wind grips. I always
Uh,
make sure I have them in
they're
stock,
comfy.
right? I do. They
They're
are.
they're so comfortable. Like when
Yeah.
again, like the tactile contact of Wind dry tacks, like
Yeah.
it's the first grip I tried, because again, I'm into this. I want to try everything, like because
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
so new. I want to try everything. So if somebody's got a club and they've got unique grips on them, Golf Pride wraps, the golf
Yeah.
right there. When I go to another grip, that's what I'm going with. But
Yeah.
the when I tried the DryTac 2.0, I was like, wow, I can. This is a different grip, like
Yes.
right. But I also saw the the DryTac 2.0s, the the durability issues with said
Yeah.
grips, right?
And so that's a trade-off, right? Because we talked earlier about firm versus soft, and that is one of the trade-offs is the durability side of things. The only other thing, my counter argument to that too, though, is sometimes is like wind grips will show you when they need to be replaced, whereas a standard rubber grip is not as visible and it's not, you just don't see it as much, right? You can get away with it. Like you can get away with a Tor velvet grip until you can see your reflection in it, and people would be fine, right? Like that's one of my things. If people come in, it's like if you can see your reflection, it's time to regrip. Um, but I have noticed that, but that's one of those things. So like wind grips are fantastic. They've been around for a long time. What they offer is unique and different than what the rest of the industry kind of does offer. But yes, durability is there. That's the price for comfort in that regard, right? Another grip too, and again, I like being honest. The Golf Pride CPX, one of the softest grips that Golf Pride has ever offered, if not the softest, but similar issue because they're using a softer rubber compound. You're going to start seeing your thumb wear in there a lot faster than what you would with other ones. So that is something for those people out there. Wind grips, they know what we're talking about. That the wind style wrap grips, same thing. I remember having an old Wilson Batman driver way back in the day, which and it was a purple head with
Yep,
yellow.
yep,
So do you remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, again, I'm a Wilson guy. So when I
Yeah.
got into golf, um, like from my, you know, the first time I actually picked up a set of clubs, way back, actually when we were moving here to Alberta, we played a course. Like first time I ever picked up a club was in Manitoba, some course in Manitoba on the way here, and it was a set of Wilson
Yeah.
golf clubs, and and again, golf went out of my mind for decades. But I
Yeah.
wanted, when I started golf, I was like, I want Wilson. Wilson is my brand. I want Wilson, and I will play
Yeah.
Wilson when I start this game. So that's what
Yeah.
I did, right? I wanted Wilson, and over, I got like three bags back there, and I got another set of, but I've got like 3 sets of Wilson golf clubs in the room right now. I got a set from the '80s, Jerry Pate signatures. I don't know what those are over there because they're left-handed, but um, I, and again, I look for Wilson stuff. 8802 putter. That's in the collector's catalog for Alvin. And a Wilson
Okay.
8802, like not the new one, that you got to pay like whatever ridiculous amounts of money, but
Yeah.
I want an old 8802. And it's, I'll tell you a story after we're done here, but
Yeah.
um, um, I wanted Wilson. So when I go look at Wilson, that driver actually comes up on our
Yeah.
marketplace here a little bit, and I'm tempted to get it just because it's that, same thing as the killer whales, the Wilson killer whales.
Yes.
When I
Yeah.
see that set, I'm like, I just want to go buy that set. It's probably a crap set, but if you're a Wilson collector, you got to have a set of killer whales, don't you?
Yeah, and you know what? I almost feel like it's kind of one of those things where I would love to see them. Like, like all companies always do these retro things, but my goodness, would I ever love just to see a Wilson Fat Boy, with that little Batman looking
Yep.
logo on the bottom and purple head and everything. Like,
Yep.
I like there would be nostalgia in there. Would be like, man, I need to hit one of those. I don't
Yep.
care how I hit one, but I
Yep.
need to. I don't know if I would pay for one. I guess that would be the other side of it, but it's like, but yeah, like that's one of those things that would actually be that's actually a really good idea. So, but yeah, I do remember that having that, and it had that on there. So that's definitely one of those things,
But I mean,
with grips.
that's a rabbit hole. Just we'll get back to grips in a sec, but that's a rabbit
Yeah,
hole in this whole golf thing. Like if you go with a brand, I
yeah,
mean, golf has been around forever. I mean, you can get into there's a whole rabbit hole of collecting golf clubs, and I
yeah,
find myself like
yeah,
having to restrain myself from just buy, when it comes to like eBay and marketplaces and stuff.
yeah.
But I have a great I have
I've
great checks and balances in my wife. She's great
yes.
checks and balances in this whole scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Behind me is, a $5,000 simulator setup, right? So
Yep.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
checks and balances. Yeah, no. But no, yeah, no, it is one of those things. I've seen it like just being here and obviously I do grips and builds and stuff like that. But I always have some of those repeat customers that are kind of doing what you're talking about, right? They buy things, but then the shafts that are in them aren't really quite what they're looking for. Somebody buys a driver, 7 woods, right? 7 woods are a hot
There,
thing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you can get them with a lady shaft a lot of times. So people like they just buy that. You're not losing anything. The head's the same. It just has a lady shaft in it. So people will swap those out. So those are the things that definitely happens. And if there's somebody in your area that can do that, like don't ever stray away from something just because it doesn't have the proper shaft in there. There are ways to do it. It can definitely get pricey, but if you're ever looking to reshaft a set of irons, like definitely buy a used set because like if you were like, hey Adam, what would it be to get, some dynamic golds, S400s or whatever in a set, or you start going, you're like, oh, I want black iron shafts. It's like black iron shafts, you're looking at anywhere from $80 to $100 per iron just to get that in when you start account for the cost of the shaft and labor. So it's costing you like $800, whatever, you know what I mean, to reshaft your irons. It's insane the price to do that. I think a lot of people are surprised. I was really surprised too when I kind of took a time away from it and got back into it. Just the cost of that. And I'm a shaft person, like aftermarket shafts for my driver and woods and stuff like that. I enjoy those. I like those. I think they have some merit, but um yeah, it's pricey. It's a pricey endeavor, but
Yep. Golf is
there
expensive.
is. It is.
I think
It's
so. Mulligans and Hackers rule number one is golf is hard. Rule
yeah,
number two is if you can't play the game, at least look like you can play the game. And rule number
it's a
three
good one.
is golf is expensive,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It just
Yeah,
is.
it is one of those things, right? And so, we're always trying to look at ways to kind of curb that and everything else. So there are options out there, for grips to still be able to kind of keep it somewhat affordable. I know for myself here at Grip Crush, like counterfeit's a no-go for me. I'm not a big fan of supporting counterfeit with like names on it. Now, you know, the old saying, oh my goodness, when somebody copies something, sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't
I
remember
get
the
what you're
full term.
saying.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. I can't
Yep.
remember. But anyway, you know, there are companies out there. There are some direct to consumer golf grip companies that are out there that are creating something a little bit on their own that are kind of doing it. I've recently kind of worked a little bit. I'm getting some flow grips. It's called flowgrips.net. Those guys are fantastic. Just started to kind of work with them and kind of what they have. So there are some things, and that's what I'm kind of saying is that, you know, don't be afraid to kind of look around. You know, you probably need some new grips. Yes, the brand names are expensive, but there are other options out there. You know, you can always rely on Amazon too. Like there are some things. I've done a few of those installs, right? People bring grips, they get them off Amazon and get me to install them. So that's one thing. But even doing it yourself, like Alvin, you're someone that plays 100 rounds a year. You like we should actually find a time when you're in Calgary where I literally can say, hey, here's what you do. And that way you do it yourself.
Well, see,
And
my partner in
yeah,
crime here, who's not here this week because he just got back from Vegas because he played 36 holes in Vegas. Um,
yeah,
he regrips his own clubs. So
yes,
if, but again, we have like even through this little thing that we do, there's a guy in town here that he works on all of my clubs.
yes,
He's done it since I started. He does all my
yeah.
regrips and stuff. But so um, we're going to do the Alberta Golf Tour thing this year. So we're going over the schedule. So there's an event where we're going to be in Calgary. So, but
We're skate. It doesn't, even if it's not that, we'll still meet up anyways.
for sure,
Do you know which event you're looking to do in
the
Calgary?
Mickelson National, of course.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
will be back. I will be back because that's in August, correct? Is that in
Yeah, I'm not.
August?
I can't remember when
Yeah.
that one is.
I
We're
I I
just
did.
we're literally
Yeah.
going through the schedule now. So this is our first year going to do Alberta Golf Tour, and again, we're hacker golfers, right? We're double digit handicaps, but we're so
Yeah.
excited to do that and just again experiences in the game.
Yeah.
I've said it to a few people before. Like I've done a lot of things in my life. Um, Played hockey, coached hockey at a relatively high level. Um, and I was a musician for many years, played live on stage and did that. And I don't know if I got everything out of that I possibly could when I was doing it, but now that I'm in
Yeah.
golf, every experience I can get out of this game for the rest
Yeah.
of my days, I'm getting. So going and playing on this amateur tour, we're so jacked about that. We're so pumped up
It's
about it.
it's fantastic. Like I know you had Lee on the pod there not too long ago, and you know, there's not many people in the game better than Leah for growing the game, like authentically growing the game
It
of golf, and
in
she
our
does,
chat, it
right?
came across, man. In our chat, it
Yeah,
definitely came
it
across
does.
that,
Yeah.
you know,
Like that she loves the just the you know just the grassroots of what this game is, right? The integrity, but also the competitive side of it. And you know, I've played in a handful of them over the years. It's been a little bit more difficult now, just having a young family and stuff and trying to get away. I played in the Mickelson event last year and I'm still choked because I there's a playoff in because I was Division 2, so kids make your handicap go up. So I was chastised. People are like, Burton, why are you in Div 2? Like you're not. But anyways, I was one shot out of the playoff, and I remember on the last hole there in 18 at Mickelson, I had like this short, like I hit a layup shot because it's a par 5, and I gave myself way too little distance, and man, I just chili dipped one, right? And bogeyed it. And so I missed out by a shot. I was so mad because I mean I don't play like, you know, for me, I'm normally, you know, I'm probably around like 20 to 25 rounds now, right? Like that's just where I'm at currently in my life. But playing competitive golf is still there and I still like to do it. My member course is Serenity Golf Club just out east of town here. You know, I've won the club champs out there a few times. Uh, if you want to know about your game, tournament golf is it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, right.
like it is. Like if you want to know what the flaws are in your game, or if you're actually feeling good, Tournament golf is it. And that's not to scare anybody away from doing it. The thing is, you have to look at it and say, whoa, this is actually a different game from just going out and playing with my buddies. It is different. And people will say that, like, like going out and shooting, 72, 74, 76 on a weekend, yeah, you can do that, but doing that in a tournament where everything matters, every
Yeah,
puck counts
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that other stuff, like that's what I love. Like making those like 3 foot putts, especially on Mickelson. If you ever played Mickelson, oh,
And I
like
don't, and so,
if it's
and
anything like last year, it is insane. Like they were so fast, so
I don't
fast. It was
play
insane.
golf courses that I've never played before. I normally don't play them well. So this is all going to be like, but just quick cut.
Yeah.
Um, the one of the first events is actually here in Medicine Hat at Desert Bloom.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So me and Chris are like, well, she threw us an acorn there. We're obviously we're going to do that one, right? So and
Yeah.
I've played Desert Bloom. I played Desert Bloom twice
Yes.
last year,
Yeah.
and again a different course, linksy style, right? Not used to it,
Yeah.
but I played okay the first time I was there, and second time I played a little bit worse. But again, just trying to navigate your way around the course. So we're moving courses this year. I don't know. Have you played golf down around here at all?
I haven't.
No.
No.
So we've
And you know
got
what? I've heard nothing but wonderful things about golf there. It's just I've never
again.
gotten down that way.
Yeah. So we played at Cottonwood, which is a par 66. That's where we've got our feet wet the last 3 years.
Yeah.
There's only one par five. Lots of par threes, tough par threes too. But we're moving to Medicine Hat Golf and Country Club this year, so we're
Okay.
going from the par 66 to the par 72 with a bunch more yardage, and it's a it's a tournament style golf
Yeah.
course, right? So we're pretty stoked about that as well. But um, I we Mickelson National is one of those that, yeah, I think we have to do that one for sure, and we want to pick at least one more to go to in this
Yeah.
for this season, right? We're not going to make them all again. The
No.
cost
Oh,
it's
yeah.
expensive to
It's
play,
hard.
right?
It is. And like I mean it's I shared the schedule and somebody was, mentioned something about the costs and I'm just like, man, like it's like the cost to run it, the cost for prizes, yeah,
Everything, yeah.
like you are paying more than what you're going to pay if you just go there and pay for a green fee, but there are just different experiences that you get when it's there. And you know, what you need to do at the start of the year and as you go through is really, really making sure with your group is like those putts, like those small putts, like really put the pressure on yourselves to really, really, feel that a little bit. Cause
So
like, I have you, I don't know if you've ever had that, especially in your, like, for the jacket, the Mulligans and Hackers
so we
jacket that
yeah
you
we
play
have our
for.
own little
Yeah.
tour where we have our events and we have our trophies, and um I'll tell you, when we play our event days, like when it's like our tournament days, there's not a lot of chatter.
Yeah.
Everybody, but again, we're not great golfers, so I mean, if somebody's leading by 4 strokes with 2 holes to go, yeah, you know what, you could still catch them
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're not that good, right? So the next
Yeah.
shot is always so important. So we've already been playing 3 years as hackers in that mentality of when we're doing tournaments for
Yes.
us, we're already in that next shot is really important. Next shot is really important. Focus, focus. And I've had to work on my mental part of the game, which is huge in golf. The mental part of the game
Yeah.
has been a work in progress for me since I started this sport, because boy, that
Yeah.
can get in your head. And I have literally gone through phases where, like, I don't know how to swing. I literally don't know what I'm doing. Like, you'll stand over the
Yeah.
ball and you have to back off. It's like, I don't even know how to take the club away. Like,
Yeah.
and right, the game is
Uh,
in your head so bad. It's like, I don't even know what to
yeah.
do here.
I
This game
mean,
is such a different animal for me.
like for me, if you would like talk about that, so first off, like for myself, like I stand all of 5'3", so I'm not a very, very tall person. So when I tell you about the putter I switched to, I probably have the shortest broomstick putter in the world. But I actually I built myself, I think it's like a 38-inch broomstick putter, whereas somebody that's like 6'4" would be like, hey, this is a great putter, right? Like it's perfect. But like, so I built myself a broomstick putter. I had an old center shafted Odyssey 2 ball that what I bought when I was 16. When I first joined my golf club in Cape Breton, I bought first golf club, never got rid of it, putted with that for I think 16 years. And then I've been on a carousel ever since. I thought, oh, like it's time to like kind of move on. And I never got rid of it. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna revive life to this. And so I did some, couple of things, changed the lie angle on it and all that other stuff. And it's a broomstick now. So I only got to play I think it was one round at the end of last year because by the time I got everything done and I only got out for one round and I like it. I'm just very curious to see how it holds up in pressure. But if it's anything, if it's remotely better than what I currently was doing in my putting stroke, I think I'll be okay. But um, yeah, that's one thing that I'm really excited. That's what
I
I'm excited about this golf season is trying my broomstick because I'm telling you there's something to it where it really keeps that putter face square a lot longer. And so yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
cycled. I'm still looking for my putter, the one that's my go to, and I've cycled through the Odysseys and the Spiders, and like it's just the revolving door, right? But I still don't know. I need to do a putter fitting to see. I think I need a mallet, but I use
Yeah.
blades, and it's I I could use a different putter every round, and really, so I've got two nicknames, and one is Fairway Finder and Dead Putt. So I can find the
Okay.
fairway quite regularly, but when I get on the green, it's an adventure. But again, it's time, putting the time
Yeah.
in. I just got to spend a lot more time
Yeah, it
on the green.
is.
It's one of those finesse parts of the game that's like you really, really have to put the work in. And if I don't know if you've checked out some of our videos on our YouTube, but Chris puts in a ton of time at home and at the golf course, and truly, that's where his game. He has his clubs. He has his Mizunos that's from driver down to
Yep.
his wedge that's been he's been fitted for his clubs, and I want to get into that with you here in
Yeah.
a sec. But
Yeah.
um, his putting. There's a video of him putting on our YouTube and on our Instagram, and it's just a short video, and he puts three balls, and he puts one, and it doesn't get to the hole, and then he puts the next one and it goes to the outside of that ball and taps right off the flagpole. And then his third one he puts and it goes inside the ball and taps. Like it's that's how he puts. He is a really, really good putter. And that's how he beats a
Yeah.
lot of us on a lot of days. If his putting is
Yeah.
on, we can't touch him.
Yeah. I one thing, and again, if your followers are kind of either into the tech stuff or they kind of know like the stack system and Sasho McKenzie, who owns that, part owner of the stack, for helping with swing speed and everything else. And he does a lot. So I actually had him as a university professor at St. FX. So Sasha McKenzie, and he just did some things on putters about even just toe hang putters versus face balance putters. I personally think that a lot of more people would benefit more from a face balance putter. And for those of you that don't know how to do that, you just find the balance point on the shaft. And if the face of the putter points straight up, it's face balanced. If that toe hangs down when you balance it on the shaft, then you have a toe hang putter. So just when he looked at it, there's way more manipulation from a toe hang putter just with your hands and everything. Like you're manipulating that a lot more. If you're a very handsy player and you like to use your hands, toe hang putter's better. If you're someone that you're just kind of like a little bit more, not necessarily robotic, but you just kind of want to go back and through and not really think about using the hands too much. Face balance putters are definitely better. So those are like your double bends mallets. There are mallets with toe hangs, but there's a lot of those things in there. I've taken putting lessons from the putt doctor one time there at Heritage Point up here in Calgary. And one thing I remember taking from him a lot, and I still think it's true, is that he feels like a lot of putters today are too heavy. Like feels like they, like having a lighter putter, you know what I mean? Then you can hit it a little bit, right? Sometimes they get a little bit heavy and you can't really stroke it as much. Just kind of have to tap it, especially on the faster greens, right? But so much into putting. I wouldn't even know like where to start, but obviously there are some good fittings for that, right? Like
I do
using
find that
that.
I'm way more comfortable with an insert in the putter than I am with a milled face.
Okay, that's
So
interesting. Yeah,
yeah, like I've tried a few milled faces, and you know, I get a lot of. It seems like the ball just jumps off of it. Where if I, because I've got a couple of odysseys with the insert, and I have a Nike
yeah,
method with an insert as well, and I find I'm way more comfortable with my pace. At least with my pace, not necessarily with my line, but with the
yeah,
insert.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that is, I mean, yeah, I mean, putting is just one of those things, man, that
it's
again,
feel. You gotta
I,
and you gotta do it a lot, like thousands and thousands of times.
yeah, like I have a putter that, like I said, that's, I've had since 16 and had for years, and it's still going to work, right? Like putters don't go to style. You talked about the Wilson 8802, right? So, there's just those things that are kind of just there, but fitting's important. I think putter fitting is probably one thing that doesn't happen. I also think it's something though that I think in the fitting worlds, I still think there's so many variables that I think it's harder to really like pinpoint. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
I
think
get
there'd
it.
be fitters out there that might disagree with me, but I just think there's so much because look is so important and feel is so important, both of which are subjective,
Yeah.
right?
So,
So yeah, like
so
yeah, go ahead.
that's one of the things about the putters. I had a couple of putters, and you have to like looking down at what you're putting with. You really
Yeah,
do. It has to be aesthetically pleasing when you look down and at the putter. And if you don't
yeah.
like what you're looking at, you're not going to putt well with it. And I mean
No,
that's just me as a hacker golfer saying it,
no, it
but
is. It is. I mean, I just I think it's hard, even though if you say, hey, this one here, numbers wise, like it's rolling better and all that other stuff. I mean, then you can start looking at though, like, well, the loft on this one, it's a little bit more. So let's just tweak the loft on your current one and that kind of stuff. And again, that's why I think the variables are so there's just so many variables in putter fitting that I think it's probably the hardest thing. I know for myself, like, owning a small shop like this, um, putter fitting is something that, I thought about dabbling in just because it's another one of those niche markets, right? Like it's something that, yes, it's available, but it's not something people are doing. It's also not available at Golf Town per se, right? Like they don't have the Quintech or the Sam Putt Lab or that kind of stuff to do it. Um, even, lab putters. I love the technology behind lab putters. I don't like the price tag of lab putters, but I love the technology behind them. I think Edel Golf has done a fantastic thing this year with you can manipulate and create your own putter from hosel to alignment aid and everything else and look at those numbers to say, hey, what do I need? I saw Ryan Barrett make a comment about the TaylorMade putter that was released last year with the movable weights, where you can actually alter if it's a face balance, toe hang, how much of a toe hang, and everything else. Like the technology in those putters are great because you can dial those in, but then it's do you have the technology possible to then actually see the data? And it's those things that just aren't as readily available to the average golfer, where it's like, hey, you need to get fit for a putter, here's where you go. Or you just can't go anywhere. But I mean, you can go to Golf Town and anywhere's here in Calgary, right? And get fit for irons and driver, no problem, right?
so
Wedges, yeah.
do you do iron fittings as well?
No, so
No.
for myself, like I've been asked, like whether it's lessons, fittings. For me, like I don't have the accounts with the different companies to kind of do that. That's something for myself, like I look at this as, post teaching career retirement, part-time job, working somewheres or working somewhere to do that. Like I love the equipment side so much. I love helping golfers. I love sharing knowledge. I love um, helping them understand the technology side of things and doing all that stuff. But yeah, no, I don't do that. I mean, I would love to be able to, but again, the amount of inventory, just the amount of everything that you would have to be able to offer, would be difficult. I find it, I'm following very closely. It's an Instagram, it's called Matched Up Golf, where the guy has his he calls it the prescription, right? Where you hit X number of irons that all have different variables, and all the variables are isolated, and then you look at strike patterns, and then from there you can basically say, well, this style of golf club is going to work best for you. It has this kind of bounce, it has this kind of swing weight, this kind of shaft, and everything else. Like I think that's really cool. I'm watching that closely because that would be something that I was like, okay, that's something that a smaller shop could offer, because it's like, come on in, get your prescription. I know you don't want to pay big price tags for something new, but I can give you a prescription to say, here's what you're looking for, and here are the clubs that match that profile. Where I can say, yeah, you can go back to this model, this, and this, and this will have everything. So these iron heads are going to match up best with your swing with this type of shaft. So that's something that I'm watching closely to kind of see how that's progressing and how that goes along. Because again, as you start to grow and you start looking at things, I'm always looking at different ways to kind of grow and give a little bit more, but obviously still being cognizant of my career as a teacher and being a husband and father and everything else. Like, I mean, yes, it's my passion, but as we all know, when you have families, there's, you can't just start running. You can't chase every dream,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You start living
Yep.
those dreams for your kids
But
a little bit.
but
So yeah,
from experience here, Adam, that phase will come. Now
yes,
it might be 18, 20 years down the road, but that next phase is
yeah,
going to come of, okay, well, I'm an empty nester now. Now you take your
yeah,
business to the next level, right?
yeah,
But I was going to ask you on this whole like club fitting thing. Uh, it's a question that I ask, and I know my buddy Chris has gone and done it, and I still don't know what's involved in it. But
yeah.
is going in for a golfer that, we'll say, a weekend warrior or somebody new into the game, club fittings, going and seeing a club fitter, um, is it really intimidating for I would say for myself, it would be really intimidating to go where I am in my golf game now and go do that process.
Yeah, I would like it is. I can't deny the fact that it would be intimidating. Like I remember just even for a colleague's husband one time, I was like, well, he was talking about going to get fit and everything else. He's like, I don't know. I was like, well, I said, come on here, like, just through my accounts. Like I had a, like for me, Tour Edge is something I could kind of get. And I was like, well, just come here, let's just have a look, right? But I think, being nervous, you know what I mean, had trouble finding the center of the face, all that other stuff. He did go for a fitting and kind of same thing. He kind of ended up, getting the case of the S hanks, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right there, where they're like, you know what, just come back another time. That, I mean, that's what they kind of did. I do think from a fitter perspective, I think if that happens, I think you have to tell that person to say, this is right for you. You should be doing this. We're going to help you. Today's just not your day, and that's okay. So let's reset, make another appointment, give me an email, send me a text, whatever it is. And in 2 months' time, when you feel like you're hitting it well, give me a call. We're going to come back. We're going to do this again. And I think that's where you'd find that difference between a good fitter that's going to say, hey, today's not your day, and that's okay. Because we all have bad days, but go find your swing, get comfortable, and come back. I do think there's like a solid purpose in it. I do believe it benefits everybody. Um,
Well,
it,
again,
it's it is yeah,
I've seen the benefit on the course with Chris and his
yes,
Mizunos that his
yeah,
bag has been custom fit for.
yeah,
He can dial on a really good day. He can dial his game in. So I've seen it
yeah.
this year where we, again, like I said, we played on a par 66. He broke 70 twice this year, and he's only been playing golf for 3 years, right?
It's
So
fantastic.
right,
Yeah,
and I so now it's like I see him dialing in his custom fit clubs. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, well, that's something now that if I want to go to my next level, it's probably, and I'm going to be playing golf for a long, long time until I can't.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
Yeah.
my next step that I should go and get involved in as well, is go and get a club fitting done.
Yeah, I honestly believe so. Like I'm like, everybody's different in their comfort level of like when they're meeting new people going in there. And you feel like, but honestly, like I just don't foresee people that are in the fitting business that are going to be that judgmental, right? They are going to be your cheerleader. Like they want you to have success because in the end, you having success also means they have a sale, not to the detriment of like doing anything to make it seem like this is so much better, but that's what they want to do. They should be in it to make you feel better. And I do know that you know, the cost of fitting, like there is a cost of fitting. There's a cost of expertise. There's a
I know,
cost of
I
time.
again, I know what
And
Chris
that,
paid for
right?
his fitting, and it's like, holy wow.
Yes.
But I also see
Yes.
the reward. I also see what comes of
Yes.
that as well now, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and again,
To me,
it's an
it's fun.
it's an investment.
Yeah.
If a guy is like myself is going to play golf for a long time, it's an investment now, right?
Yeah, it is. It's fun. Like I love club fittings. Like I know for myself and where I'm at my golf game, whatever, like I love going. Like it's just something that I like to do. Like, man, if I could do it every year, I would do it every year because it's something where it's like maybe I'm just swinging a little bit different or whatever it is, right? Injuries, swinging a little bit slower, all that other stuff. Even for myself at times, I think about it like, maybe I should go to something that's a little bit easier to hit. I'm still not completely sold on kind of where my set is right now. Um, the only thing that I think to really look for though is like, I still think I'm probably now at a point where like I would be a really big proponent for if you're going to do it is to really make sure it's a camera based fitting. I like indoor radar is good. Like in indoor TrackMan, you're like, man, it's TrackMan, it's $25,000. Like it's gotta be good, but it does. I still think it has its limitations. The other thing too that I feel like is very important and sometimes overlooked is the mat at which you're hitting off of because you can have, and for myself in my house, I have one I really like the one that's very densely packed, where if I hit it heavy, I know I hit it heavy. Fiber built is fantastic for our tennis elbows we talked about earlier and golfer's elbow and everything else because they're soft, but it's almost like you're hitting off a tee every time because
Right.
it's perched up. So for me, launch conditions and everything else, I feel like with those could be a little bit more skewed. You're striking these irons so well, but it's like you're hitting them off a tee every time. Whereas hitting off more densely packed stuff, I think it can give you a little bit more true interpretation. I do know, my dad, my dad's a good golfer too. He's kind of right around like in anywhere's between a 6 to 9 handicap, right? He fluctuates in and around there, but like he hates hitting off mats. And if it's a densely packed mat, he just can't. So there is that side of it too. And again, it's not to deter anybody from going, but mats can be a uh, very polarizing thing of what people like to hit off of versus what they don't like to hit off of. Because I do find the fiber built ones, you can hit behind it a little bit and you're still going to get a good result. Whereas the densely packed ones, you do have to strike it a little bit more. So it's something that you kind of have to see. I think you need to look around in your area. I think some places are probably pigeonholed as to where they can go. If you live next to large city center, there's so many different options of which you can go to, but that's just my own personal opinion on fittings and what I have seen. Like I've been fit now at two different places in Calgary. The next time I'm probably going to go to the third place, not because any of the other ones are not good, just because I like to do that. The same thing with lessons. I've taken lessons from 5 different pros in the Calgary area because I just like to go and have that experience with them, get to know them. And then that way, if people ask me, like, I can always give an honest opinion and say, well, I've had this person. All of them are great, but this person was really good for this. This person was great this way. This person was great this way, and have that. So to me, I like. My dad says this all the time. He's like, "You're Adam. You're such a student of the game. You're just always learning and always trying to think and everything else. And that is part of what makes you better. in everything in life, right? So even for yourself, it's just being a student, asking questions, being engaged, reading all these things online, and just formulating your own opinions, but then going out and trying to experience them, like see other people's opinions, but you also have to get your own. And